Welcome back to the fourth video in our series of recruiting for defensive schemes in College Football 26. This is the 3-2-6. This is by far the best defense to defend against the wide splits, the Tennessees of the world. You see some of the mid-majors as well running. It's called in game the Veer And Shoot, but we know it known as the wide splits in real life. You saw a lot of Iowa State in real life running a version of this defense to go against a lot of the Big 12 and Big 10 opponents they went to in the past couple of years. The big thing about this defense is it is complex to recruit for. I'm actually going to give you the archetypes for two different sets of personnel, and that's because this defense breaks into two very different ideologies with different formations, and I'm going to show you those formations. Before we start, just a reminder, don't forget we have a Google Sheet that is linked in the description below that has every single formation in the game parsed out by defensive playbook, where you can see every depth chart position. Use that to go ahead and follow along with the video at home, or use it just when you're building your defenses out for formation subs, which you will be doing some of in this defense. All right, let's get to the 3-2-6. Let's start with the 3-2-6 odd. Now, the cool thing about the 3-2-6 odd is as we start here, we're going to be doing a lot of the same three down lineman fronts that you've seen in our previous videos, the 3-3-5 tight and the 3-3-5. But we're going to switch over when we go to the mug. Different personnel in this lineup. So the odd, as you can tell, this right here is going to be what if you've been following along the series, you know exactly what I'm about to tell you. Defensive tackle 1, defensive tackle 2, nose tackle. That's your nose, that's your 1, that's your 2. Okay? That is going to happen in the 3-2-6 odd, all of the 3-3-5, the 3-4 odd, and the 3-3 mint in the nickel. And again, I'll show these on screen. Don't worry about writing them down. You'll see them in a second. That is your base. Now, in the odd, this is strong safety 1. This is strong safety 2, and this is your slot cornerback, okay? So this is your slot. This is strong safety 1, strong safety 2. So you see some of the principles of a dime defense and some of the principles of the 4-2-5 and the 3-3-5 you see with the extra safety on the field and the extra slot cornerback. Now, the 3-2-6 odd is going to be your base defense. The defense I'm about to show you, the formations are your base defenses. And let's show them right now, because what you're going to want to do is recruit pure power and gap protector. Again, we talk about this all the time. When you have three down linemen, they've got to be beefy. They have to be beefy. So specifically for the 3-2-6 odd, and you see I say very specifically here, the base defenses. These are your base defenses. 3-2-6 odd, both 3-3-5 formations, the 3-4 odd, and the 3-3 mint. They're base because these are the formations that are going to use your DT1 nose tackle, DT2 front. Okay? Very important to remember that. If you're going to write something down for play calling later, very important to remember these are your quote-unquote base defenses. This is going to be your defenses that you play against if there's a run possibility or a pass possibility. They are the more versatile defense for you, okay? A little bit more beef up front, a little bit more run stopping up front. Your pass coverage will come in a minute, okay? Stick with me here. So then you're going to go from here, you're going to grab edges as well, because you're going to use edges in the 3-4 odd. This is specific to the 3-4 odd, okay? But what have I told you about edges before? What have I told you about edges before? They have no coverage skills. So in the 3-4 odd, when your edges play, because in this formation right here, these are actually your left edge right here. So that's your left edge. And this is your right edge by depth chart position, right? No coverage abilities. Well, when we go in here, there are plenty of times where you're going to see edge and zone, Edge in zone, right? We see a lot of edges dropping back in zones, especially with some of these three cover 3 blitzes, right? Okay, so what are we gonna do? Easy. Thumper linebackers. Now I'm gonna open this up. I normally say Sam's because Sam's tend to be a little stronger in this game, but I'm gonna say Sam, Mike, and Will. And what you're leaning towards here, specifically for the edges, you're never gonna change their position. You're literally gonna put the Sam in the edge on the depth chart. You're looking for a little heavier of a linebacker, so 240, 250 is better if you can find them. 230 is okay, but remember, you're gonna be working around some wear and tear with this linebacker. You want some pass rushing. You want some acceleration. And even more importantly, you wanna make sure you have block shed, because these guys are still going to set your edges on the outside. And again, this is your base stuff. This is your base defenses. Again, if you look at the notepad here, linebacker thumpers, you see the 3-4, this is gonna be big. These are the formations we're recruiting for right now, okay? Keep that in mind. I'm gonna show you the other ones in a second. Next up, for your actual linebackers, the Mike, Sam, and the Will. Same idea. We're gonna go signal caller and thumper. And this is gonna be your choice. The reason I say this is the signal caller has inside disruptor. The thumper has outside disruptor. So they both have good block shed, but it's gonna be, are you struggling more to stop the run in the middle of the field, or are you struggling more to stop it on the outside? Okay, the Mike, the Sam, and the Will are used in both of the 3-3-5 formations. So when you look at the stack and the 3 high odd, this right here is your Will, your Mike, and your Sam. But remember what we're talking about? Strong side is Sam, Mike is middle, weak side is Will. SMW, that's how we know what that is. And that is the same in stack and 3 high odd. You are still using your main 3 linebackers in, again, your base defenses. Your base defenses will still use these linebackers. That's why it's important to have them. Cornerbacks, and we'll get in play calling. Remember, we're gonna get into the play calling at the end. So just stick with me here, stick with me what we're doing, why we're trying to build what we're building, because we're building 2 separate pieces here. Cornerbacks, we're gonna go both. I'm gonna show both of them to you now. You're both your slot and your boundary guys. Your outside cornerbacks, which in your depth chart are your main cornerback position, and then your slot cornerbacks, which is in your specialists. You're gonna look for field for the most part. For the most part, you're looking for field. And the reason for that is this defense tends to be a little bit of mix of man, mix of zone. You want your best coverage guys. And for my money, the field cornerback are the best coverage cornerbacks in the game. And that's because they have a mix of man. They have a mix of zone. They have a little bit of press coverage if you need it. They have blanket coverage as an ability if you need it for man. They have ball hawk, which is good against reaction. They have knockout. They have robber, which is good movement in zone. Now, you might not get all of those, but imagine the field cornerbacks as the hybrids last year. These are guys that are going to be able to do a little bit of everything for you. So this is going to allow you to keep your base on the field play call mixed up. You're gonna be able to go zone, man, match, all of it. You're gonna be able to really widen your play calling for this. And that's why it's important to have field on your slot and your cornerbacks. As a reminder, your slot cornerback in the base coverages will come out in the nickel, all of your nickels, which is your nickel 3-3 mint, they do show up there. And then in your 3-2-6 odd, you get a slot cornerback and a safety. We'll talk about slot cornerback 2, which comes out in the 3-2-6 mug in a second. Next up, your safeties. We're gonna go, now you guys know I do love mixing up some safeties here, and I normally go strong safety 1, strong safety 2, right? Well, for this one, we're going coverage. The point of the 3-2-6 is to stop receivers, period. And yes, there are a lot of blitzes in here, but stopping coverage is what we want. We want to have the best pass coverage we can possibly find. I feel like coverage safeties do that. If you want to sprinkle a hybrid in there, that's okay. If you want to sprinkle a hybrid, The reason for that is you can get a little bit better tackling. You can get wrap up and a better tackling on the outside. That's your call. I like to go more coverage for this. But Mills, you threw something in there that we weren't really talking about. And that is one boundary with quick jump. Why that? Why is that for the slot cornerback? And here's why. Now, when you play in the stack, when you play in the 3-3-5 stack, and when you play in the 3-2-6 odd, you see this number 2 right here? This is your slot cornerback. I want you to know that if you're going to be blitzing, if you're the type of person that wants to throw more pressure in a 3-2-6 or more pressure in these spots, right? Even your 3-3-5 or 3-3 over, you can sub in as long as this player has quick jump. Without quick jump, the boundary doesn't mean anything. So if you get a boundary archetype cornerback and you develop them and they get quick jump at some point, which is bronze, silver, gold, any version of it, then you start going, okay, I can put him on the field for blitzing and I can go, you know what? This is where I get that extra jump for. Now let me explain something about quick jump, okay? First of all, if you're looking for quick jump, it has to be a high acceleration cornerback. So the threshold for bronze is 93. So understand that when you get these guys, yes, you're gonna get some evolution, some progress as you go, but you need to get to at least 93 acceleration for bronze and all the way up to 96 acceleration for platinum. Just as a heads up. Now, this is all for pass rushing. Quick jump doesn't activate against the run. It's just pass rushing. So be very careful about this. This is when you're blitzing on passing downs, which you can do that on base. It'll be even bigger here in a second. You'll see why. Now, Mills, you told me, hold on. You said to me there would be 2 sets of archetypes, right? Well, we can't get into the play calling yet because you're right. We have two sets of archetypes. And we're gonna call the second personnel group Rush. And the reason we're gonna do that is this. The 3-2-6 mug, let's get it up here. 3-2-6 mug, the 3-3 over in nickel, and the double mug, the 2-4 load and 2-4 single mug, and both dime use very specifically the rush defensive tackles and the rush ends, which now we are going to go, hey, are you 3rd and 7 and you know these guys are going to pass? These are your formations. These are your formations now if you know they're going to pass. You don't go into these formations unless you know a pass is on the field, okay? And you're looking at power speed rush for your rush defensive tackles. Yeah, you don't hear me use those much, right? And you go speed rusher for your ends. As an example, on this right now, on this mug right now, this 94 is the rush right end. This is the rush left end. These are your sub linebackers. And this is your rush defensive tackle 1. This is a whole new personnel group from what you saw in the 3-2-6 odd, with the exception of the linebackers. The linebackers in 3-2-6 are always sub. And we'll address that in a second. But this is a whole new personnel group. It's the same thing if we go down to the nickel 3-3 over. It's doing the same thing. It's using your rush right end here, your rush left end here. It's using your rush DT1 and your rush DT2. So you can have your big base nose tackle, your hulking monster in that, and then get into your real good pass rushing, your great pass rushing abilities. And you have a whole new formation. You can literally sub out your defense wear and tear wise for the front 7. So that's why we sit there and like that. That's why I enjoy that. When it comes to sub linebackers, very clear what we're gonna do with sub linebackers, and that's the lurkers. Lurkers are the best sub linebackers. As long as your lurkers have a little bit of block shed in this defense, you should be okay. But again, if you're in the 3-2-6, which is where you're gonna have the most need of the linebackers having block shed, honestly, you're pretty much sure they're gonna pass or they're in a spread anyway. So I also note here, they use sub linebacker in the 3-2-6 odd. As a reminder, you might want to sub some thumpers in with formation sub into your 3-2-6 odd, but every other formation that is listed here uses the sub linebacker, okay? And that's, again, why we're going to move from our normal Sam, Mike, Will over into our sub linebackers, okay? This is going to look real similar to what we're ready for. Your entire defensive secondary is going to be exactly the same. Exactly the same across. This is, without a question, a pass defense first. Even the 3-4 odd, which is one of the best base defenses in the game, still feels a little pass covery, okay? So you have this all, and again, here we go with the boundary with quick jump. Again, dude, the boundary shouldn't be on your field unless you have quick jump readily available to you. That's how I feel. Is the boundary would not be on your field for this defense unless you have quick jump ready to go. There are no safeties to get quick jump. You can't put linebackers into these cornerback spots. So this is why we're looking for one very fast boundary cornerback as a bonus. This is your icing on the cake. If you don't have him, the defense is not going to die without it. It just makes that blitz from that slot cornerback spot that much better. Okay? Love that. So, and also as a reminder, in the 3-2-6 mug, you'll notice this guy right here changes number, and you're going to see 26 jump back up here, right? And that is because strong safety 1 is here in the odd. In the mug, this turns into slot cornerback 2. Again, more coverage for your buck. More coverage for your buck. Now that we've done all this, how would I call this defense? Well, I've told you before, the 3-2-6 odd is my base defense. If somebody comes out in a wide split, I'm gonna call the 3-2-6 odd and start there. If they're in a passing down, if they're 3rd and 10, 3rd and 7, or 3rd and 10, I'm gonna come out probably in the mug. And that's because I want the quarterback to feel that pressure up front. I want him to have to pick where he's going. And pressure kills CPU quarterbacks. If you make them have to make decisions downfield, that's important. But let's start with the odd. Honestly, I would go anywhere except doubling receivers or zero blitz. Unless you have incredible DBs here. Zero blitzing with nothing over the top, in my opinion, against the CPU, especially on Heisman, is a death sentence. You're asking to get beat over the top. And normally, if a team is confident enough to put guys out on the wide splits, they're gonna be running guys across the middle like this. They're gonna be running guys in little screens, up here in little counters and little comebacks. So if I'm going against wide splits, I actually don't mind, because we've got man coverage on this. I don't mind doing covered 2-man blitz to start off, to really start your offense and see what they're going to be doing. I kind of love coming out of man, and especially if they're wide splits, guessing inside. So to guess inside, to route commit inside, you're going to push R1 or RB, and then you're going to push on the right stick, you're going to push to the left. When you hit RB, you're going to see all of the pieces come up that say route commit inside, route commit outside. You're going to push the right stick to the left for inside, the right stick to the right for outside. And because they're already on the outer boundaries, you're going to guess inside, and a lot of that coverage is going to stay on the inside hip, while your safeties go up over the top and cover the boundaries for you. I also really like this as a match defense. You're going to see a lot of the cover 4 palms, which we talk about, obviously. Cover 4 palms is very good for 3-by-1, 3 receivers to one side, 1 receiver to the other side. We talk about quarters. I like running quarters in the 2-by-2, where you have 2 receivers to one side and 2 receivers to the other. Really like that. Cover 6, one of my favorite, and to this day, one of my favorite red zone defenses will be cover 6. No, if it's 2x2 or if it's 3x1, whatever side the tight end is on is the side that you're gonna have the cover 2. And then whatever side the other receivers are on, so if you have 1 and 2 over here, or 1, 2, 3, that's gonna be the cover 4 side. I just feel like it does a great job of watching crossing routes, because crossing routes can't get depth in the red zone. That's where the cover 6 really shines here. If you want to throw a little bit of pressure. Also, this one right here, this Tampa 2 drop, before we get into pressure. Just CPU quarterbacks, if you have any kind of pass rush out of those front 3, or if you even want to take one of these zones and manually blitz them, this is one of the best 5 to 10 yard pass defenses in the game, because they just line right across for you. It is like I said this before, like a picket fence for you. Really love that. Do not mind throwing a little heat here. Cover 4 quarters, obviously, one of the reasons the sub linebackers are lurkers is lurkers also get good pass rush moves, and almost every one of these defenses has at least one of the linebackers or one of the safety slot cornerbacks going in. Double fire, I don't like it unless you have a very good user on your linebacker here. One of these 2 linebackers normally has to be a very good user, because the CPU will just dot you over the middle with follow routes or levels, stuff like that. Not a big fan of DB fire. But again, any of them that have 3-man rushing are very good pass coverage. This cover 3 cloud show, Buzz Spy, if you've got anything with this little spy route in it, if you've got a quarterback that likes to scramble, especially straightforward, believe me, I know I struggle. I don't struggle with quarterbacks that go to the outside. I struggle with quarterbacks that sit back, go, hey, it's time to scramble, and go straight up. So good QB spy routes there. Overload 3 seam. I've talked about this in other ones. I really love this, especially because this is going to come from the weak side. All the pressure is going to come from the weak side. Don't be afraid to throw a little stunt in there. For those of you that don't remember, if you push whatever button the play call is and hold it, it'll actually let you go through the stunts. Pick one of the stunts that actually puts these 2 guys in conflict with each other, because that's going to put the defensive line in conflict, or the offensive line in conflict. So really love that. Let's get out of this though. Let's get out of the 3-2-6. And again, we're still talking about your base coverages. The 3-3-5, I adore the 3 high odd in this defense. And the reason I adore it is because it takes away so much at 10+ yards. If you have a defense that you're saying to yourself, I really want to take away big chunks and I want to make them beat me by 1,000 paper cuts. I mean, the 3 double cloud right here, where you've got 3 safeties already back in coverage covering the top 3. Even the seams, because of your safeties being coverage, the seams are really hard to get to in that. Cover 4 palm, which is again match coverage against 3x1. Really love that the safeties start deep. The other thing that I like about 3 high odd here is when you start mixing your safeties in this double sky. When the safeties, instead of going deep, the safeties actually invert down and then start covering curl flats. I love that, because you'd be surprised how many times a quarterback will read those 2 safeties, because the CPU quarterback reads plays the same way we do. So they're going to see these 2 safeties both dive down this way and go, okay, I've got deep sidelines. And all of a sudden you've got these good field cornerbacks running with the receivers. So really love that kind of stuff too. If you want to sit in a shell, I would sit in the, again, right stick down here. I would sit probably in the cover 4 shell or the cover 2 shell. Cover 2 shell for this will keep the safety down just a little bit for run support. But I really, really love the 3 high odd as like a, sit back in big time coverage. You're not beating me over the top. Also, another little tip, if you do like Tampa 2 like I do, take whatever the mid read is and manually hot route them into a middle third. so that you highlight the person, you push A, and then I think it's up on the right stick or up on the left stick, one of the two. It'll call it a middle third, and you'll bring that guy, instead of a middle read where a guy gets beat deep, instead of this post route beating him deep, he'll run here and do a deep blue and cover that. So, really love those. Now, if you're struggling against the run, again, we're going to talk about this. These are your edge defenders. We want them to be linebackers because you want a little bit of a coverage. 3-4 odd. Honestly, the entire 3-4 odd playbook is good. There is not a bad play in this when you're going up against 12 or 22 personnel. And what that means is 1 running back, 2 tight ends, or 2 running backs, 2 tight ends. As soon as 2 tight ends come on the field, anything that says ace on it, when you see the offensive formation pop up, because we're waiting for the offensive formation to pop up, if you see 2 tight ends on the field, you're going to 3-4 odd. Okay? You're going to 3-4 odd because 2 tight ends will decimate most of the other formations in this game, in this playbook. Okay? But honestly, nothing bad here. If you want to sit in a cover 2 shell here and just run cover 2 hard flat and then go back to your cover 2 and then mix in a cover 3 sky out of that, you're not really going to be in a place where you're in a cover 2 shell into a cover 3 sky doesn't put your players in a terrible spot. Okay? Really love that. Really love doing those type of things. You can blitz out of this. You can match out of this. All kinds of cool stuff. Also, I see some of you guys, when I'm going around some Twitch streams, some YouTube content, don't be afraid to throw in some man coverage. I know we start in man coverage, but go back into man coverage once in a while. Take your shell off before you do it, but go back into man coverage once in a while. Man coverage, especially if you've got good man cover defenders, is a great way to make a CPU take a step back, look at their primary receiver, understand that he can't throw it immediately, and go, okay, now I have to make reads. And when the CPU is making reads like this, you can go back and instant replay and watch their head go like this. All of a sudden, your pass rush gets home. That's a little tip. Mix it in. Don't be afraid to mix in man coverage. I know it's a nasty word in some of the corners, College Football 26. So, one last thing. I know we're going a little long here. Apologies for that, but I want to go into the rush personnel. Rush personnel. Mug. Your goal here is to cover and press. Cover and press. Okay, I don't want to see you in cover 2 drop Tampa 2 in this. I don't. If you're in your rush personnel, I want to see blitzers. Like cover 3 sky, even though it's not a blitz, you got your strong safety 1 coming in, right? Really like that kind of stuff. Overload 3 seam. I don't zero blitz. Don't zero blitz unless you're a very good team with high end secondary, which let's be honest, most of us aren't. Although I took over Clemson, which is different, but don't zero blitz. Find the other blitzes. Find where the pressure is coming from your strong safeties. Here you go. You got a nice little sub linebacker blitz here. Again, not a big fan of DD Fire 2 unless you have a good user, but it is what it is. Overload 3 seam. Really love Overload 3 seam, especially when you've got sub linebackers in the middle and you got a sub linebacker backing out in a zone coverage to try to pick off one of those drag routes. Go in for that kind of stuff. The rush personnel in nickel. You're going to see that in the 3-3 over. You're going to see it in the 3-3 double mug, 2-4 load mug, and single mug. Much like our 3-3-5, these are insanely good pass rushing, terrible against the run. Insanely good pass rushing, terrible against the run. If you are in 3rd and 7 or longer, or you know this team is going to pass, do not be afraid to go to your 2-4 load and you look at just all of the crazy front blitzes you can throw. All of the crazy front blitzes you can throw out of this. Cover 1 blitz. And look at the angles. Dude, CPU offensive line hates these angles. Take advantage of those. And don't forget, use your stunts. When you're pass rushing, stunts are terrible against the run, but they're amazing. Amazing against the pass rush. All you do is hold your button in when you're play calling. You'll see it right here. Watch. Look at all those pass rushes. And you can see them. Pirate 3-man is great for the load because you're going to bring that end that's all by himself back in to the load and bring those 2 guys back in further. I absolutely love just going with some of these in that, okay? Absolutely do not be afraid to run that type of stuff, okay? Go back into the play call here for 1 second. Choose new play. One last thing, and that is dime. You know, when it comes to me, dime is a dirty word. I don't like running dime. Dime load week is different. Dime load week is your 2-4 load and your 2-4 load mug on steroids. If you know they're gonna pass, you now have on your field in this formation, you have your rushing right edge. Here, I'll show it to you. Rushing right edge, your rushing left edge. You have your both sub linebackers in this spot, and you have your rushing defensive tackle. You have the perfect pass rushing personnel, and you don't have to touch a button to do it, okay? And there are so many ways to get pressure out of this. 12 plays, and every single one of them, even the base defenses, the quarters, the palms, every single one of them, if you put a stunt in them because of where the linebackers are, because the linebackers start off on the line, every single one of them have some kind of decent pressure to go with. See this? See the outside? You only get 4 of the stunts, but you get such great because the center has to focus on the mug, on the load, the sub linebacker's right in front of him. He has to at least be wary of them. And by the time he realizes they're back in coverage, he can't go help on these stunts anymore. It's the guard and the tackle. And let me be real with you, chat. The guard and the tackle don't want to have to deal with those loads all day, every day. All right? This is the 326. If you found something good out of this, please leave a like, subscribe, share it with your friends. We will be back with the next video Friday. We're gonna get into the 3-4s and the 4-3s, some of the base defenses. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope it helped you out. Remember, look good, be good, do good things. And I'll see all you beautiful creatures on the next video.